Hello there, everyone. How are you doing? It's towards the end of February now, and we're just getting to the point in the year where if you need to migrate your payroll information out of some other payroll provider that's charging you too much, you're a small business owner, you've got under 20 employees, you can have more. I provide this application for people who have 100 employees throughout the year. It can be used for that, but in general, if you're under 20, this thing is great for organizing all your payroll information and allowing you to take control of your own business's payroll. Know what reports are going to need to go where, when by just clicking a drop-down arrow. Be like, oh, what's my quarterly 941 need to look like? Just do that. There's nothing there right now because I'm going to show you how to fill in everything in this video. I get asked frequently, and I also have to provide information to people who use this application for their small business. They say, Ken, how do I show this? Why is this hidden? What's going on? How do I change my pay stub around to make it look exactly the way I want? How do I do this? How do I do that? Is everything working? I'm going to show you in this video how you can take control of this file, use it like a boss, really use it to show exactly what you want and organize your payroll in the most effective way possible and easiest for you. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So let's get started. We're going to go sheet by sheet. There's 4 or 5 main sheets of data entry. So you got this file for me. You want to run your business. You want to get everybody in here. What do you do? Well, a minute and a half in. Employee info. All right, let's say I'm hiring my new business, right? Um, that's me. I'm going to pay myself in my business, and I'm hiring new employee too, right? Newbie, somebody. You can put in their social security number if you want, or you can just do that later whenever you need to in the other source. I recommend leaving it blank here for the most part. Anyway, so let's talk about columns that you need to show and columns that you can hide or get rid of if you don't ever use them, so that this sheet can become easier for you to look at. Well, columns that you really can't ever hide are probably going to be columns that have a light colored area, like a light blue here or whatever. But let's get rid of Maryland because I want to show you something. Uh, those are the types of ways that the cells are going to appear black or light in color. If they're light in color, that means you might have to enter something in and you really don't want to hide this column unless you know you never use the column. Like this stuff over here can be hidden because it's black, it's a formula, you don't need to worry about it, and so you can just hide that. And that's how you do it, is you hover with your mouse, you can click right on the column letter name, or if you need to, you can hold down the mouse and highlight multiple and then right click back over here and choose hide to get rid of what you want to do. So that's how you do that, and you unhide the same way. So if we want to show that stuff over here, we got to highlight all the columns around it, right click on that stuff in there and unhide to get it back. So hiding and unhiding, it's going to really help you navigate through this payroll file and get everything you want. So for a new business, old W-4s, I'm not going to get into answering all these questions, but this is stuff you do need and you need to fill in. Did the employee fill out a W-4 for 2020? I'm going to say old employee doesn't, but new employee, yes, new employee is going to have to do that. So the new employee is going to have to do that, and what that opens up is this area over here, which is about information from the new 2020 W-4 that you'll need to put in there. We'll get over there in a second. But that's why you don't want to hide that stuff generally if you're going to be filing any, new, let's assume this person's going to be married that we hire. What state are we in? Are you claiming any exemptions in this state that you're in? These are questions, answers we don't know yet. Are there any additional state exemptions in the state? Let's say everybody's in Maryland for the purpose of this video. So in Maryland, we're going to be filming out, we're going to have Maryland for these two things over here. You can't hide that. You have to choose a Maryland county as well when you're doing Maryland, but we're just talking about Maryland. You have to choose a state. Filing status over here for Maryland stuff you can't hide. There are no additional state exemptions, so this is something you could hide in Maryland. You don't need to see that one. And then you got to fill in information for the W-4, right? What's the W-4 filing status? Are there amounts? Did this person check the box or not? Which is a question you always got to answer. There's a workers' comp type. There are things that you don't necessarily need to fill out, but if you want stuff to show up anywhere like on the pay stub, you can fill a lot of these. A lot of people hide this, right? If you don't need to use this. So now what you're looking at on your employee sheet is just the basic information you need to see. We have up to 20 employees right now, but if you're just working for the first 10, you can also hide rows. So you can look at less here. You need to put your unemployment rate, whatever that was, when it shows up. If you have a workers' comp rate for your business, that would go there. And there's other things we can add on. So now you've done your employee info master sheet. Essentially, that's good. That means that you've got all your active employees in there. Now, what do you do in this daily sheet? Well, if you're going to use the daily sheet and you don't have to, you can use a version where you only enter in information for your summary amount of time for your pay period, whether it be weekly or bi-weekly or whatever. But if you use the daily information to its fullest potential, you're going to have some things that you probably don't need to see. Do you like to type in like that they're in at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or something? You can do all that stuff here and have the time come out as a decimal or whatever. But I don't use this. It takes too much time. People rarely do this. You know, what 30-minute break, it actually calculates the hours in decimal. Or you could just say, I'm never going to use this, so let's hide it. You could even delete it if you want to, but normally you don't delete stuff, you just hide stuff. We have projects, you know, project 1, whatever, and project 2. Like, you can put prices on projects and how much they are, whatever, and then it comes over here. And here's the information when you start entering information about hourly and your employee. You choose your employee name. You know, you want to do a week from this employee or whatever, right? Let's start at the beginning of the year. Start Christmas of last year, actually. So what we're doing is we're going to add our hours for the employee here. These are things that you don't want to hide. Some of these things are formulas over here. And this is a little manifest of projects that you have. But you can just put in hours, different types of hours if you want to. Or you can say, what project did they work on from our project list? Was it project 1, project 2? A fun little thing about this validation is if you put this right here and leave a space at the top, then when you hit the drop-down menu, it comes right at the top, like in the nice place it's supposed to. So if you do projects, oh, interesting. Is that not working? Do we not have a price there? Oh, we don't have a price there because I just moved that. Always fun, checks yourself. So it'll come up with a compensation amount for the project that you worked on. Then you could have detail about client 1 or whatever. It doesn't matter. So as we enter in information for employees, right? If you just wanted to copy, say all these employees worked the same shifts, you know, had the same hours or whatever, just paste that stuff in or whatever you want to do. So you're going to have your daily information. Once you're happy with what you have here, maybe you never use this client thing and you never use the project thing because you only pay your people by hours. In that case, you can just hide these two. Don't delete them, but hide them. And now you've got less to look at. You also never care about that, so you can hide that because you don't pay by projects. You can just look at even this, right? So now, pay periods record sheet. What's going on with that is a real quick look at everything is a huge hundreds of columns or 100 plus columns of formulas for a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of states and a whole bunch of mess, right? You don't need to see all that. I already send this to you in a format that hopefully is shrunk to your desire. But you need to understand how you can open stuff up if you want to see different things or if something's missing or if you need to add or whatever and how it relates to the pay stub, which we're going to talk about after we fill this in. So this thing has filters on and you never want to sort this. You don't ever want to sort. You only are allowed to filter because it's in a chronological order. It's like it's set up like a database where records have an order so that it calculates the year to date properly. Now, what you can do is you can look at one period at a time and start to see what you want to fill in. Let's do that for that very first period of 2019, the one pay period in December, which has a paycheck in January, which is why it's in this 2020 file. It brought over the hours that we put over from the daily entry sheet. And it's just asking, what's this person's rate, right? What's this person's rate? State minimum in California, maybe 15, 13, 14, 15. Did they have additional state or federal tax withheld? Do they have a bonus amount, right? Are there any garnishments? Are there any reimbursements? Whatever it was. Did we issue a check for this person? Once we're done, you could put the check number there. Do they have a retirement plan? That's pre-tax. What percentage is it? That goes over there. Well, there's a ton of different other things in there. These are just the ones showing because they're the most common that I have available. So now when you go over to the pay stub to look at everything, you can choose your employee by that list, and everything should pop up appropriately. And then going forward, additional pay periods and years to date should work. Now, if you want to change things on the pay stub, like you never use retirement or something, you can do things like hide it. Of course, that's the smartest thing to do, because then you can see if anything ever pops up there in the future by accident. Or if you don't want to hide it because you understand how this pay stub really works, there's a formula in this cell. Like these are mostly just names of categories. And here are formulas, and there are different ways to write this formula, but it's just basically looking at one of the columns that's in here, and it's bringing you the proper amount for the proper date and the name of the person, which is what all this mumbo jumbo means up there. Now, well, if you add something or want something else, you can insert, a column right inside of here and call it whatever you want. Like if you call it like pre-tax wages or something here, or you can do anything you wanted to, and then you just have to take the formula and you have to find exactly where it is in the pay periods record sheet that you want to bring that column in. So when you unhide everything, when you're looking for it, this is why I do this for you, hopefully before we start, and you use it for the whole year so that I can update it and make it look the way you want it to look. But you find the exact column that you need, and you're just going to reference it in that formula. So I said like pre-tax income or something. Yeah, that would be like gross wages less non, or just flat out, yeah, something like this. It would be column AW. So if you go here, you just grab the formula, and instead of AU, which was in there, AU here, it's AW1, because I have the thing numbered properly. And it brings in what that pre-tax wage amount is. And then you do the same thing for the year to date, because there's another column that's related to the year to date, which is right there, and it's AX. So I'm going to back out of all that, because we don't need to do this. But there are ways to adjust the pay stub like this, and that's how I can show you how to do it or do it for you, because it really doesn't take very long once you understand what it is that you're looking for in your exact pay stub. Because these things can be formatted when you look at the way it appears and the way it prints. This thing can be formatted to print on any check letterhead that you want to line up properly. You can just set the print area like that. You can move this thing up or down. I can show you how to move it around to get it to look exactly like the paper that you have. So the paycheck's totally malleable, and it's just fundamentally you can change anything you want. So just let me know, and I can show you how to do that. Then there's the reporting, which is just easy to click on. Whatever quarter, or if you don't want to look by quarter, you want to look by month, you can click month. Same logic applies for looking at pay period. You just look at the pay period, and there wasn't anything for that one, but there was something for that one. Yeah, so it all just works in a filter situation, but you just need to have one filter on at one time. That's how that works. Then you've got all these other pivots areas where you can refresh and look at how everything is structured in all the different categories of expenses. And you can do the same thing for unemployment, which you'd owe that already for unemployment in Maryland, and then federal unemployment or FUTA. And then there's the W-2 sheet where you just click the name and everything should appear. And this 2020 W4 sheet is just for reference, and the matrix sheet you could almost hide and not look at because hopefully we've set this thing properly and it's conforming to your pay schedule as it should. So that's a 15-minute video, but there's a lot of information in there on everything you can do with this because not everybody wants to hide. Oops, or I should say unhide. Not everybody wants to unhide employee 1 through 20. When you need to add employees, it's not as simple as just inserting and pasting down. There's more complicated things that have to happen. So things like adding employees and stuff are still things I haven't really done a video on how to do it exactly. But that is the basics, and good luck. Always ask me more questions. I will be doing videos on all 50 states, sort of. I mean, some states don't have tax. I don't know if they need a video. But if I get a client in those states, I will go visit and do a video from there because that's what's fun about this, is meeting everyone around the country that is interested in taking control of their own payroll. It is liberating. So everyone out, happy payroll.